Hi, I'm Bob Boross, and this is my jazz and tap dance life. This is my YouTube video channel where I talk about all things jazz dance and tap dance. And right now we're starting with a little series on tap dance. I haven't posted too much yet on tap. So we're going to talk a little bit about tap technique and the approach that I have and the teachers that I had in tap dance. I know there's a lot out there in terms of rhythm tap, a lot of flat-footed, heavy-sounding tap. The tap that I learned actually came from a man named Paul Draper, D-R-A-P-E-R, who was one of the greats of tap dance in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. He was actually a classical tap dance artist, and he mixed ballet with tap dance. So his taps were very light. They were up off of the heels, and he would have lots of very special things that he would work with to make his sounds as light as possible, and he would tap to classical music. So my first introduction to tap was with him at an organization in New York called the American Dance Machine, which was way back in 1979. And after that, I had many years with a man named Bob Audy, A-U-D-Y, who was sort of a disciple of Draper, and many years in New York with Bob Audy. So this is kind of the sound and the feeling that I have in my body. It's a little bit different, not as heavy as the rhythm tap that you would find. Maybe closer to what some people would call a Broadway style, but certainly not presentational in the way that something like 42nd Street or a show like that would be. One thing I do want to talk about, what Paul used to do, he had the thinnest taps possible and actually file them down to make them thin as possible to make the lightest sound. And on his heels, he would have those little half moon taps that men used to have on their heels so that they would not wear out their heels. So that's how he would fix his shoes. I'm kind of halfway in there. It's kind of hard to find shoes that work for me these days. Right now, I'm using a very old pair of Miller and Ben shoes. These are probably at least 15, 18 years old, so they're hanging in there. They have a double sole, which is really thicker than I would like, because I like a little bit lighter sound and a little bit lighter feel, but it's what I have. But I do want to show you, these are my Morgan taps, okay? These are from quite a long time ago. As you can see, they're a little bit smaller than a normal Capezio Teletone, and they do have a lighter sound. I have a pair from, gosh, 30, 40 years ago, and then I have a pair that I found on eBay not too long ago, so maybe if you're looking for them. One nice thing is they have the 4 screws instead of 3, so they tend to stay on a little bit better than the Capezio Teletone. On the heel, I do have, this is what came with this shoe. It's a big, big heel tap, much bigger than I normally would have, but I've learned to work with it. So anyway, this is what I use for the shoe, trying to get as light a sound as possible. So what I'm going to do is give you some basic exercises. They're not for a basic beginner, but they're basic in terms of what I teach, in terms of the quality that I like to get from tap dancers. One thing is to be very light and very loose, and number one, to change your weight. And my golden rule of tap, I tell all my students, what's Bob's golden rule of tap? 4 simple words. Pick up your feet. Pick up your feet off the floor. In other words, don't get stuck with both feet flat, both heels down. Have your weight shift down. Whenever one foot comes down on a step, the other foot is released. That little transition is what leads into the next step in a very quick and fluid fashion. So pick up your feet. I will constantly work on that. And that's what we're going to start with today. So we're going to do a little shuffle step heel exercise to work on that aspect. And after that, we'll go into something else a little bit after that too, okay? All right, so here's a shuffle step heel and accenting on picking up your feet. Okay, so here we're back with this exercise. Shuffle step heel, you could almost argue a little bit whether it's really a shuffle, more like a brush in terms of what the rhythm is, because we're not going N1 and 2 and 3, we're going to be going 1 and 2 and 3 rather than N1 and 2 and 3. But the idea again is to be loose in the ankles and to pick the feet up as much as possible. So if I have shuffle step heel, right? Shuffle step heel, 2, and a double heel right there. So we have E and a 1, E and a 2, E and a 3. Now right there, when I drop that heel, I have the other heel is off of the floor. That's the weight transfer that I'm talking about. So I won't do this with both heels on the floor. I do not want to get stuck there. Now this foot is lifted and released, and it's ready for the other side. And I've shifted the weight there, okay? So if I count this, I'm going to go E and a 1, E and a 2, E and a 3, E and a 1, E and a 2, E and a 3. Always shifting the weight. And I want a nice straight rhythm. rather than this. We could do it that way, but that's not what we're doing. We're doing it straight. So I go 6, 7, 8. Always shifting the weight. Now I can boost that a little bit. We're going to go up to 7. E and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. E and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, always lifting that heel. And one thing I'll give my students also is we're going to go in a progression. So we'll go 7 and 7 and 3 and 3 and then 1 and 1 after that. So starting, we have 5, 6, ready, go. E and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. E and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I go to 3. 1, 2, 3. E and a 1, 2, 3. Single. And again, always lifting the opposite heel, so I will never get stuck with both heels on the ground. Okay? So that's a good warm-up exercise. We want to build that up to a little bit faster tempo. Okay, good warm-up exercise. Now I can also take that and to the front. Let's go with 3 to the front. All right, and I'll even take that with a little paddle in there and do a dig and brush and to go. Okay, so if I want to put those all together, let's do it in 3 with the side and the front and the paddle. And that's a nice little progression. 5, 6, ready, go. And I could finish it with a 7 there to give a little action there, okay? So that's a nice little exercise that we do, warming up the feet, but still with my mantra of pick up your feet, my golden rule of tap. Excuse me, never let both heels get stuck on the floor. That's the most important thing, okay? So that's lesson number 1. My name is Bob Boross. This is my Jazz and Tap Dance Life. I'll be bringing you more tap dance videos in the future, so please stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel, click the notifications bell, and please click like if you like what you see, because that's something great. It tells YouTube that this is something worthy for other people to see, okay? So thanks for watching, and we'll be back soon with another tap video.